today, 6 a.m. and get my camera put up here. Okay, so we're going to talk about sales funnel, right? So there's a lot of people that talk about sales a little bit. I'm just going to tell you how mine actually works. I'm just going to go through it with you. And here, let me turn my light on real quick. I forgot to turn my lamp on. There we go, a little better light. So anyway, what we're talking about is we're talking about sales funnels and how they work here and how mine works with the Resplendent Crow. And just give you kind of the real situation on how this whole thing works. And again, my name is Eric Wilkin. I own the Resplendent Crow. We're a low seven figures furniture company here in St. Louis, Missouri. We've been at it for, I don't know, 9 or 10 years at this point. And it's been a good company, and there's nothing else I want to do. I love building furniture. I love helping my employees. I love operating a manufacturing facility. My wife handles all the sales, and she's kind of the forward-facing person. And her name is, of course, Suchetta. And it's been a good business. And we'll talk about exactly what it is that we do to drum up sales, and then how we turn that into profit at the end of the year for our company. So I wrote down a couple things, and of course, we're drinking coffee. Got a pizza this morning. And if you're into the stream this morning, hit the like button, add to the comments, let me know where you're at, let me know what you do. And it just helps to kind of kick the algorithm around. I do these talks about business and about the business of making furniture, of painting furniture, in the hopes that other people will be able to do this stuff. Not an intelligent person, never graduated high school, but I've just worked my ass off forever, and it's finally turned into something that's a decent middle-class living. So in uncertain times, having your own company can be a good way to help offset some of the issues that W-2 type people pay for. It helps to, if you sell a high-end product, if you sell a product that would be considered a luxury good, people are always buying, right? And people always want luxury products, and it's just the American way, and it'll probably be this way for a long time. So I'm gonna tell you guys how I do this, how I sell things, the tools that I use, and I'll give you kind of some back-end information on what you can do to kind of slowly ramp up your sales funnel and help people, or help people that want to be in business for themselves, to get people to look at their products and to see their products and to be able to sell things, right? So I wrote it all down, just wrote it here on this little piece of paper. I got it written down for you guys. I just wrote down a couple quick little notes. So in our particular sales funnel, basically what we've got is we have like, everything kind of starts for us with social media. And this is, social media is the place where we grow everything. And I don't include YouTube when I say social media. So we'll get to that in a minute. But the sales funnel starts with social media, right? And one of the givens is that you have a product, right? You have to have a product. Like, that's the thing. You have to have a product that is well sorted out. You have to have a product that you can actually make, that you can deliver, these kind of things. So we're not talking about any of the production side of things or the product development, any of that, just talking about sales itself. So sales, you have to start with social media, right? And the reason you have to start with social media is because when you're starting a company, you have no money, right? You have very little money. And the thing that you need to be able to do is get that product in front of people. And social media is a fantastic way to do it. And some people think that maybe social media is a little bit played out, or it's, dying or whatever. And I can tell you that it's not. We spend, we probably spend anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 a month advertising on social media for the Resplendent Crow. And we do that because you always have to keep eyeballs on your product, even if people aren't buying, right? When people are buying, you actually need to spend more on revenue, which is a little bit more on advertising, which can be a little bit counterintuitive, but it's just the honest to God truth. So social media starts everything. So when we started the Resplendent Crow, my wife was putting pictures on Etsy and Pinterest, right? And then she moved over to Instagram. And Instagram today is still this massive platform for putting pictures, right? And they're trying to do a lot more video. And video is important, but if you could start with some really high quality pictures to get your products onto a place like Instagram, it's a fantastic way to get visibility on your thing, right? And let's say that you just can't get any traction, right? The followers and the views and all that kind of stuff just aren't kind of where you want them. You can couple it, you can add in the advertising component on Instagram, which I can talk about a little bit. So we got people coming in, Jack, yo boy, yo, yeah, good morning. Hit the like button, guys, hit the subscribe and all that kind of stuff. Help out, add to the comments, it helps with us. But we're talking about sales this morning. So if you can get on social media, specifically Instagram, and you can put your product on there, and we're talking about this from the woodworking and painting standpoint, but get good quality pictures, right? And if you have a what is it, DSR camera, you can take fantastic pictures, but really take the time to make a good photo, get some good side light going in, and those pictures will really help you with selling your product, or at least presenting a good perspective on your product, right? So if you can get that thing on social media like Instagram, it's a great place to do pictures and video, okay? Now, the other part of Meta is the Facebook side. And the Facebook side, what you guys have to understand about Facebook is it's an older crowd that is there, right? So if you sell a high-end, very expensive product, you're already into what we call qualified customers, right? So if you can get a little bit of traction on Facebook, because that audience is so much older, they have a lot of disposable income and they value quality, right? So they value a product that is handmade, they value an exclusive product, they value something that, again, is quality because they're from an older era, right? And these people, because they're from an older era, they understand quality much more than like the Gen Z, millennials, and these kind of people. Their perception of quality is different, right? So that's a good thing on the social media side. Other things you can do is you can get on Etsy, you can get on Pinterest, and these kind of websites, which are fantastic for marketing. And you might not, I mean, Etsy can be a little bit confusing to people, but Etsy is actually a great place to put your product because Etsy spends a lot of money on advertising. So they can help you to push your product out there. Even if you have your own website, you can still put stuff on Etsy and take advantage of all of the advertising that they do. So that's a fantastic way to start. So the funnel starts with social media, okay? And the next thing I wrote down on the funnel, right? So we got social media, and then we got advertising, okay? Now advertising is obviously something you're gonna pay for. So you have your pictures, you have your videos, you're working the social media thing. People are gonna see your product, right? Which is good, and it's essentially free. It doesn't really cost you much. The other thing you have to do is you have to advertise for your product, okay? So once you get on Instagram, Facebook, these places, you can actually advertise within those social media platforms. And when you advertise within those platforms, they're basically going to push your content out to people that they think it would be good for, and it really does work. Like it's incredible, actually. The kind of people that you can get look at your products here, right? And the thing about it is when you advertise, you can adjust who can look at things, how they look at things, and so it helps you to get to a qualified buyer, right? Which is the goal of everybody that sells anything, is you want qualified people looking at your products. And this is more of the sales side as opposed to the sales funnel. But you don't just want anybody asking about your product, and you don't just want anybody looking at your product, right? We call these people tire kickers. Like, you don't want those people. You need to know who your customer is, and you want to target your advertising to that customer. In my case, it's basically rich white women that are 45 and older, right? That's my crowd, that's my demographic. And until it changes, that's what I'm going to advertise to. So you have to advertise. You can do it on Instagram, you can do it on Facebook. And again, it works fantastically. But again, know who is on those markets, right? Instagram, again, we have an older crowd on Instagram nowadays. TikTok is kind of the new thing. But you have a little bit of that older crowd on Instagram, and the older crowd is on Facebook. So if you sell a high-end, expensive product, advertise in those places. Because again, the audience is already built in, right? Because it's going to be a little bit older, right? You start putting your stuff on TikTok, it's not the same audience, right? So sales funnel is advertising, okay? Advertising, if you're going to use Instagram and Facebook, those are two places to go, right? The other one is, of course, Google. Okay, now Google helps and works on two ways. Okay, Google is good if you have your own website. Google is also really good if you're on YouTube, right? And we're going to talk about YouTube's like the fourth thing I have in my sales funnel. Okay, so it's like David came in. David, good morning. Again, guys, hit the like button, hit the add to the comments, all these kind of things. So we talked about social media, we talked about advertising, okay? So Google is gonna be fantastic for your website, which is a given. I'm assuming people have a website. I'm not considering that part of the sales funnel because you can't sell anything without a freaking website, right? And whether your website is a website like the Resplendent Pro, like we have, the Resplendent Home, all these kind of things, or it's just an Etsy store. If it's the same deal, you can get on Google and you can advertise for your website on Etsy, right? If that's your particular platform, you could advertise for your page on Meta, right? If you're on Meta, you can get traffic to funnel to your page there. So if you're selling on Instagram or you're selling on Facebook, you can again funnel your advertising to those places. And I can go into all the stuff, like I have all the stuff pulled up every day. I'm constantly looking at advertising, constantly looking at ways to make cool advertising. So anyway, so we hit we hit social media and we hit advertising. The next thing I wrote down, what the hell did I write down? Wrote down blog. Okay, so blog is really big. Okay, so what I'm getting ready to talk about within all of the sales funnel thing is what I call the Holy Trinity. And the Holy Trinity is this ability to get Google and Meta to recommend your product or your service based on longevity. Okay, so when you have a website, you have a blog, and then you have a video platform. All three of these things create the Holy Trinity. And I don't hear enough people talk about it, but it's the thing that will allow you to advertise, not for free, but it will allow you to take advantage of organic search and organic population of search terms based on your products, right? And it's because you have a fantastically produced blog that has been around for a while, you have a website that has been around for a while, and you have videos that have been around for a while. Google indexes you much higher on the search algorithm when it knows all this stuff, right? And it takes time. I think we've been at this now for a good 4 or 5 years, but I believe that we have this, right? And the way that I know that we have this is if you do a search for foam bamboo furniture right now on Google, you're gonna see the Resplendent Crow, you're gonna see the Resplendent Home, you're gonna see Modern Woodrunner, you're gonna see all these things based on that one search, right? And that's what you want, depending on what your product is, right? So, for cars, I'm sure it would be very, very hard. For clothing, I'm sure it'd be very hard. For furniture, specifically faux bamboo furniture, we always index to the top because we've done this for so long, okay? Because we've done the things I'm gonna talk about here. All right, so the blog. So we have a blog. The blog is called resplendenthome.com. And if you go on there, you'll see all the Resplendent Crow type stuff. You'll see all of our furniture, all of our products. And my wife writes these articles just talking about furniture, talks about painting furniture, talks about our business, our products, all these kind of things, and speaks to our customer with this particular blog, right? So you got to know who your customer is. And in our case, it's basically designers, right? And I told you, it's rich white women, 45 and older, okay? That's who we write to. That's who we're talking to because that's where our money comes from. And anyway, we write this blog specifically with the intent of, again, showing off all of our products, talking to our customer, trying to help people to do design work, right? Because one of our main customers is going to be an interior designer. We deal with a lot of interior designers. We deal with a lot of people that help people build up their homes, that are looking for products for wealthy people all over the world. And that's who we speak to on this blog, right? So this blog has been around for quite a while, and it's just slowly grown in what's called the like, know, and trust factor. Google's algorithm, because we've been around for so long and we continuously put out good product and good content, Google, I should say, the algorithm likes, know, and trusts us, right? If you just pop up, you're not going to index very high. So we've done this for a long time, right? So we got the website, we talked about the blog, okay? These things really help to get people to your website organically. Now, most of our views obviously come from advertising, right? But this helps you on the keyword search. And I can't say it enough. I know, and this is not great for stream necessarily to kind of repeat myself, but it's one of these things that I don't see. People think that if they just have a great product, no problem, I'm done. And I'm here to tell you, it doesn't matter if you make the greatest thing on earth. If you don't advertise for it, you don't have a good website, you don't talk about it and act as though it's the greatest thing on earth, it's not going to matter. So it's really important that you have this blog function. And another way to think about it is people see the social media is more like pictures. It's kind of how I like to look at it. The blog is more like words, right? So you got these different kind of languages to speak to people, and then you have the video side, which we'll talk about next, which is video. So there's these things you kind of want to bring together, and again, what I call the Holy Trinity. And it really helps you on the advertising side. It really helps you to draw people into your sales funnel. Okay, so if we continue with the blog thing, basically people come to social media, right? They're like, nah, I kind of like this company. It's kind of cool. It's really pretty. I wonder what they're about. They can hit the link tree on any of our websites, and they'll go to any one of our other Resplendent whatever, Resplendent Home, Resplendent Crow, Modern Woodrunner, Instagrams, Facebooks, YouTubes, all these kind of things. They're kind of in this funnel, right? And it gives them more content to look at, right? So they see us on social media, they're like, that's kind of cool. Then they go to Resplendent Home. You know, they're like, oh, look at this pretty furniture. And oh, now they're talking about it. Oh, I can read about it. I mean, as men, we understand that, like, when we look at cars, it's the same thing. We see a cool car, you know, on an advertisement or on YouTube, or somebody shows us something. We Google it, right? We look at it, we see the video. Oh, that's pretty cool. And now I want to go see somebody driving it. And then we go to YouTube and we watch somebody driving a car, right? And then we're going to go to I don't forget what all the car blogs are. We can start reading about it on Google. And anyway, there's all this information about, you know, this thing that we're interested in, and we just start looking at all of it. Well, if the Resplendent Crow creates all of that content and names it the Resplendent Home, the Resplendent Crow, Modern Woodrunner, whatever, people are constantly turning over in our what I like to call the Resplendent universe. They're just constantly turning over our content and looking at stuff until they eventually click, right? And when they click, they put that credit card in there, they buy, and that's it. The transaction is over. Now we just have to make it and deliver that product and do it at such a high level that they come back, right? Which is when you end up with super customers. Right? I've got customers that got 10, 12, 14, 16 of my pieces in their home. I got a person right now literally going to do an entire house out of my furniture. Okay, so this works really well. Okay, so that's the blog. Okay, I talked about the blog, and I went on a tangent there for a second. Again, if you're coming in, Eric Wilk, I own the Resplendent Crow here in St. Louis, Missouri. We're a boutique furniture company. We high gloss lacquer furniture. We're kind of known for this. I'm talking about sales funnels today. I'm talking about how you can create these things that are on the internet, and they will help you draw in customers. They will help you with a like, know, and trust factor, and you can create the holy trinity of what I call, you know, video, social media, and words, right? So next thing we have after the blog is we have YouTube, okay? The other thing about the blog, I'm gonna give you one more tip about the blog, okay? When you start a blog, you're not gonna get much traction. But as that thing grows, right, you're gonna have opportunities to join advertising groups. There's several different kinds of advertising groups where you can get paid by Google to do advertising, but there's other companies that pay for advertising as well. And once you become a part of their network, you're added into their kind of closed, trusted circle of things, and you can increase your revenue on the advertising side for your blog specifically. But that also helps because Google then knows, hey, you're a part of this crazy exclusive group of people that write blogs. Well, that indexes you higher on their search, right? So that's a whole other side tangent. So I hope all this makes sense. So you got the blog, right? Next thing is going to be YouTube. Right now we're talking about YouTube. We're on YouTube right now. So sip the old coffee here. Pete's Coffee. Oh, it's amazing. Okay, so YouTube. So why do I do the YouTube, right? I do these lives, and I make content on how to make our furniture. I do content on how to fix furniture. I do content on basically my day-to-day of running the Resplendent Crow. That's what I do. And the reason that I do that is not because I want advertising dollars from YouTube. It's not because I want 1,000 people following me, thinking how amazing I am. I do it because it helps the algorithm. And I do it because it helps with this, what I call the holy trinity. You've got the social media, you got the video, and then you got the blog or the words, right? All these things tells Google, hey, you're a real company. You've been around for a while. People like your content. Advertisers like your client. We're going to rank you higher on the search index for whatever you do. Whether that's making high gloss lacquered furniture, making faux bamboo furniture, making replica furniture, whatever it is that you do. And anyway, so I do the video. The video is important because the Modern Woodrunner is linked to the Resplendent Crow and the Resplendent Home, right? So if you do a search for anything that is Resplendent Crow related, Modern Woodrunner will come up on the video side. And it's usually me making a Resplendent Crow product, fixing a Resplendent Crow product, talking about things related to the Resplendent Crow. And all these things really help with the algorithm. And so it's very important that you do this as part of your sales funnel, right? Because again, when a person starts off in social media, wants more information, well, then they can go to the blog. There's more information there, right? If that's not enough information, well, hey, then we got the video side, and people can see your products and see how it works and how you make it and hear people talking about your product, because this is how it works with any product, really. It's like if you're gonna, I used to be in aerospace, and if you're gonna buy your first private jet, you're not just gonna go to Gulfstream and shell out $30 million for a private jet, right? You're gonna do a ton of research. You're gonna be looking at pictures. You're gonna be looking at specifications. You're gonna be watching tons of audio. You're gonna want testimonials on what other people think about their Gulfstream jets. Yeah, whatever it might be. this, again, keeps people in the universe of whatever product it is that you're selling. And if you rank high on the algorithm, it's going to really help you to draw people in, and thus it's going to lead to sales. Okay, so that's the YouTube thing. That's why I do all this YouTube, and it's really important that you have all three of these particular, again, the Holy Trinity. I need to put it on a t-shirt. Have all three of these things, because it's going to help you on the search, right? And it's really important that if you want people to look at your products, you have to search, you have to index really high on organic search. And again, you can pay for advertising. Again, we pay, like I said, we pay probably $5,000 to $10,000 a month on different various types of advertising. And the truth is that when you have an internet-based company, that's your only source of advertising. That is the only way to get people to see your products. Right? We have no retail location. There's no place that people can go to see the Resplendent Crow and touch it and all this kind of stuff. It's all online, right? So the 7 figures that we do literally comes from people just seeing our products on the internet, listening to people talk about them, listening to me talk about them, seeing my wife talk about them, listening to other people talk about our products, and that's it. That's the only way that we sell our furniture. So YouTube's very important, and again, it helps with Google because YouTube's obviously owned by Google. Okay. Last thing I wrote down is email marketing. Okay, so email marketing, though not the ROI isn't as high on email marketing as we would like it to be. It's a burgeoning kind of thing for us. So we started doing it maybe, I don't know, 6 months ago, and it does seem to work. But the trick is that you have to come up with a way to consistently write that newsletter, because people are looking for, that's what I'm looking for here. They're looking for high quality stuff, right? We get so much junk and so much spam in our email. It's very difficult to stand out, right? So if you're going to go down the email marketing side of things, you have to put out a very high value product that people want to open up every time, right? So they have to have a reason to open your email, which is why I don't do it, because I would be terrible at it. I would just want to throw shit against the wall. But anyway, so you want to make something that's really good, because here's the thing about email marketing. So we wrote I shouldn't say we, my wife wrote an article about our Greek Key hardware. So wrote this article about the Greek Key hardware, sent it out to, I forget, our email list has I want to say it has 3,000 people in it. It's not massive, but it's maybe 3,000 people in this email list. And we sent this thing out, and it returned, I want to say it returned something it was like $1,800 in hardware sales, right? Which, if you think about it, that's not really a ton of money, but it's a product that we're not really known for. We're working on our hardware sales, but we're not really known for hardware. But enough people opened that it generated $1,800 in sales, and that's a good place to start. That means somebody saw that email, added value to their life, and then they clicked on our website and bought. So that's just one newsletter, right? So then you start writing more newsletters, and pretty much every newsletter we write earns us some sales, right? So the last newsletter we wrote was this massive. I built a 10-foot long modular credenza, and this credenza comes apart into 3 different cabinets that are 40 inches apart, and that has a long 10-foot base on the bottom of it. And that's the last article that my wife wrote, our newsletter that my wife wrote, and she kicked that out, I want to say 2 days ago. And so we'll see what happens, right? This is I think it's a $14,000 credenza. It's very expensive. Might be $12,000 or $14,000. I don't remember. But anyway, we'll see if that yields us a sale. But even if it doesn't, point is that those 3,000 people that are in this list, say 10% of them look at it, right? That's 300 more pairs of eyeballs to qualified buyers to look at our product, right? And next, we'll do social media and we'll do video on this particular cabinet, and we'll start, again, putting this stuff out there so that Google works on the index, because again, we're a very well-known company. We've got the social media, we've got the blog, and then we've got the video, and we'll continue to push all these things out. And this is kind of how our sales funnel works, So I don't know if this is, probably not the most concise discussion about sales funnels, but it's real. It's what it is. And again, I don't have a marketing degree. I never went to college. I didn't do any of this stuff. My wife handles most of the marketing, most of the sales, and I just kind of help her as she needs me to help her. And it works out pretty good. You are mental, bro. Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what that means, but good morning to you. Hit the like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, this is kind of how our sales funnel works. And we've grown this company literally from a 1.5 car garage in St. Louis to almost 20,000 square feet. So say what you will, this is what we do, and this seems to work, all right? So this is our sales funnel: social media, advertising, blog, YouTube, and then email marketing is kind of the newest thing. And so next steps, right? What are we working on to increase our sales? What are we working on to get more exposure into our products? The things that we're working on is we've got, I wrote down trade shows and retail. So that's the next thing. So the next thing is to take, say, $80,000 and go sign up with an expo called High Point, which is High Point, North Carolina, and basically show our products to people, let people get their hands on our stuff, and we're going to put all those, put all of our furniture out there, various lines of furniture, and basically you're going to get, I want to see you get like, it's almost 1 million people that week that come through High Point, and these are all qualified buyers. These are all people, because you can't go there unless you're pre-registered with your own business. So this isn't people just coming to look, right? This is actual qualified buyers. So we'll go to that show, I think, and we're going to show our products, but it's very expensive. And then again, you have to have the furniture, right? And we're a small boutique company. We don't have like tons of excess capital, and I don't have the ability to just push out as much furniture as I want. So we'll have to make, probably 24 pieces of furniture that won't be sold, that'll just be for a trade show, so that's in September. So that, I think, is the next thing we're gonna do to get some more exposure on our stuff, because our social media, advertising, blog, YouTube, and email, and all this is kind of on point, and I would say works on autopilot, but it kind of just works in the background, to be honest with you. And then the last thing would obviously be retail. So retail is something that we don't do because it's just too damn expensive. And we talked about doing it, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, and I'm glad we didn't. Because retail, I hate to say, is dead, and I hope that it comes back. I think that it will come back when people get tired of buying online. But yeah, it's retail is kind of in trouble, and it's just super expensive. So if I wanted to get, say, I wanted to get a retail space here in St. Louis, okay, I'm basically looking at it's probably $6,000 to $9,000 a month just in rent. Right, then you gotta have somebody that operates it, and nobody works for free, right? So then you're talking another $40,000, $50,000 a year to keep an employee there, right? And then you're probably going to want to incentivize them with sales, so who knows what that'll be. Then you got all your maintenance, your insurance, your utilities, so you're basically looking at probably 15, 16 grand a month to have a retail location, right? So you have to have sales that support that, and it takes a lot of capital that you can basically just throw at something for a good 6 to 12 months till it finally catches on, right? Till it finally starts to pay for itself, So I think that's coming down the pipeline, but that's a couple of years, and it probably won't be here in St. Louis. It'll probably end up being in someplace like West Palm Beach, where our product is, where we sell. Most of our product goes to Miami area. The rest of it goes to New York, Connecticut, and old money places is kind of how I put it. So it's that's kind of what we're looking to do on the sales side to grow revenue. But anyway, this quick talk about sales funnel. I hope this was kind of helpful to people. And again, I don't see a ton of questions, so I'm going to assume that people are just kind of listening. And yeah, sales funnels are kind of important, and this is something that I didn't know as being basically a fabricator, more of an operator. But I'm learning more about this kind of stuff, watching my wife do this kind of stuff, and it's really opened my eyes to how to sell things and get eyeballs on your product, because it takes a long time, and you can have a fantastic product, but if no one knows you exist, then it doesn't matter. And there's people that use that kind of what's that old adage? I think it's woodworkers. We as woodworkers, we tend to kind of have an old school way of thinking, and we kind of think that if we just make a good product and we service one customer at a time, that it's going to grow and it's going to grow and it's going to grow, and eventually we'll have that that shop in the woods with the fireplace, and we'll just make furniture by hand with our block plane, and we're going to be have enough money to do whatever we want, and it just doesn't work that way. Like, I wish it did, but it just doesn't. You have to have the advertising, you have to have the marketing, and you have to get your product out there to people, because it really speeds it up. Because the truth is that one customer at a time mentality, doing a great job, those people will keep you in business when times are slow. When you have a catalog of customers, right, that have bought your products over the years, they will keep you in business when it's slow, because they're always going to be buying furniture from you. It's a great way to keep your company going once you've spent the time, but it's very hard to grow a company that way. So anyway, I hope this is helpful, and I hope everyone has a great day. This is, what are we on, Tuesday? I think it's Tuesday. So yeah, big day today, got lots to do, and we'll get after it, and I will talk to everyone again probably tomorrow. So have a great day.